Hey guys, how's it going? I thought I'd jump on here quick just to give you a little tip that might be able to help you with making your Ghostface Buck 120 prop a little more realistic looking. So I'm talking about one of these chrome style Buck 120s you can get from Spirit Halloween and lots of other retailers. It's just a plastic knife. It's a slightly oversized Buck 120, but what I did was, if you look a little closely here, you can see that I've added the stripes that are supposed to be here, the one that is here on the guard and the one here as well towards the bottom of the handle. And you see it just helps it look a little more realistic, a little bit more like a typical Buck 120. And I think it adds to the look a lot. And see, I can show you here just as an example. This is a resin one from Creepy Customs that Connor Thins did for me. Very nice looking knife, but this is an expensive resin replica. It looks real deal, like very, very high end. So these are pricey and tough to get, but you can see how realistic it looks, right? Well, when you're looking at these plastic ones that are, again, they're quite a bit bigger, as you can see, it's a little bit oversized, but the cool thing is you can make them look pretty darn good, for very little. So you pick yourself up one of these. I think they're, I don't know, maybe 15 Canadian, so 12 bucks US maybe. Get yourself some vinyl is what you're looking for. So you just want some standard, black vinyl, more or less like this with a backing. It's just peel off standard vinyl. You can get it at all sorts of hobby stores and stuff. And even some auto places have basically like rolls of tape with ones about yay thick like this. I forget, there's lots of different names for it, but you basically just peel off the backing. It's a piece of vinyl. So you don't need much. Like this is generally enough to do lots of knives, really, because you only need enough to go around, say, the guard. So I just basically put it on the side like this, wrap it around like so, and then you have an idea about how much you need. So, roughly you need about that much just to get around this piece. And same thing for the bottom. I would just wrap it around again, get yourself an idea of how much you need. This is a lot less in this case, only that much. And just sort of eyeball about how wide you want your stripe to be. And then just carefully trim all the way along the edge and keep the scissors nice and straight. Or if you have one of those cool choppers at home, the chopper, the chopper. Yeah. Anyway, not that chopper, but the kind that you can use to slice paper and stuff. If you have one of those and you can make a nice accurate line, that would probably work really well. But you don't need a really thick one, just a nice really thin piece. That's all you need. And once you have that ready to go and trimmed, you just basically peel a little bit back and start it on one side, get it lined up nice, and just slowly peel the back and keep working it all the way around, peeling more all the way around, and it'll stick on there quite well. As long as you're not too rough with it or twisting and stuff like that, I would imagine it should stay on fairly well. But I mean, a little piece of vinyl like that makes quite a difference. So just a little tip if you want to make these things look a lot better. After that, you can also work on the blade a bit. You could dull this down to make it look a little more realistic. I usually use one of those green, I forget what you call them. They're like Brillo pads or something. It's sort of a fuzzy pad you use for scrubbing dishes and stuff. And I would just kind of go with the grain and just etch it up a little bit so it looks a little more like a piece of metal and not a super shiny piece of chrome. Although the chrome does look really cool in some photos, but I think if you want it to look more realistic, I would probably do that too. I might do that to this one. In fact, why don't we do that to this one? I think if we dull down that chrome, it's going to look a lot better. So you can see the stripes added, makes quite the difference. Let's take out one of these pads. This is kind of what I'm telling you about. Just etch it up a bit. Let's try this out. Okay, so let's start with just some light brushes across sort of the grain of the blade and the stabbing motion, I would say. So I just sort of start off like this and just seeing what kind of a result we get, because I've used different ones in the past and some work better than others. So you can see we're getting decent results, still shiny there, and you can see it's a little etched there. So we are getting somewhere like this. Let's speed this up a bit. Okay, so as you can see here, it definitely looks a lot more like etched metal. It definitely looks more realistic and not as shiny. Now, you can stop here, and I recommend in most cases that you do, because you don't want to overdo it and then lose paint. I'm going to try a few other things here first. Okay, so here I'm actually going to try a little fine grit sandpaper. This is pretty risky because this etches it really fast, and you have to be really careful because you can overdo it easily and lose paint. Like if you look here, you can already see a little spot. So I had to really take it easy on those spots. So when you are going to try something like sandpaper, just be very, very careful and go gently, because like I said, it just takes a few swipes and you can overdo it and you're into the chrome paint, and then it's black underneath, it doesn't look right, or you just see the plastic underneath and it's in rough shape. So if you're going to try this, just be careful. But I do recommend just using the Scotch-Brite pad that I used previously before that, because if you just spend more time doing it, it's much more gradual, and you can just kind of do it until you're happy with how it looks, because it's going to look a lot more metal-like. Okay, so here I'm just going to try to do a little more detailing with the sandpaper. Again, I don't recommend using this for it. I recommend you stick with the Scotch-Brite pad until, you know, it's where you like it. You can do the little detailing with it as well. I'm sort of trying to go a little faster with the sandpaper because you get quicker results, but there's far more chance that you're going to go a little too far with sandpaper again. So I definitely don't want to encourage you guys to use it if you're not going to be really, really, really careful. But as you can see, the more I get it a little bit etched like that, and there's, again, a fine line, it starts looking a lot more like real metal. But again, it's a fine line. You don't want to overdo it, right? So if you are going to use sandpaper, just be very, very careful. Otherwise, yeah, the Scotch-Brite works great. So let's speed this up a little bit and see what kind of result we end up with. And there you have it. Essentially, that's what you end up with. As you can see, those little streaks on the blade, they really help it look a little more realistic. I think it looks a lot better than it does when it's super shiny and brand new. And you add on those little vinyl stripes. And it's really not a whole heck of a lot of work to make a very generic Buck 120 look far, far better for photographs and just for messing around, cosplaying, and Halloween, and all the rest of it. So that is an easy way to do it, folks. Thanks for watching. But I just thought it was a quick and easy way to make these look significantly better. You know, it looks a lot more like a Buck 120 when it has the missing stripes. You'll see in some of these other pictures I passed, it kind of stands out when it doesn't have those stripes against the other ones. But cheap, easy way to make things look pretty good for your Ghostface outfit. You can't go wrong with one of these. They're relatively inexpensive, and you make a few little touches like this, maybe work on the blade, you got yourself a pretty cool looking Ghostface prop. So anyway, that is today's tip. I just wanted to share that with you guys, just to give you an idea to maybe give it a try to make yours look a little more accurate. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again for another one.